Welcome into the latest episode of Betting the Pitch. I'm your host, Real_G Warner. Today, we're going to go through the top 5 European soccer leagues and try to find some best bets. As always, we'll have a ultimate best bet end of show, which will list my favorite play from across the five top European soccer leagues that I'm covering. And we'll eventually cut that into some sort of Instagram, YouTube friendly type of 1 minute video. So if you don't want to spend 40 minutes or an hour with me right now, I get it. People don't have that much time in their hands. I'm surprised, but I guess I'm not that surprised. But if you want to stay with me, it's Friday night. We are chilling for a little while. We're going to talk through the entire cards. My first look at the various cards besides what was already played on Friday. But I've done a pretty good job of sheltering myself. Haven't seen any lines, just basically going off of what I made and then trying to figure out some best bets. If you're not a member of my Patreon, check it out, patreon.com/the_G Warner. Best spot to get all my plays, leans, write-ups, everything you could ever want in one place. Baseball season is rolling already. Had a huge $1. I was a $1 handicapper at pregame.com, where you can also find my work and my podcast with Munaf Manji. But it's hilarious. The Royals scored nine runs in my $1 Thursday. So I hope all 190 plus of you, or however many ended up getting in on it, I hope you got in for a very nice price. And we'll start where the money is. Speaking of prices, in the English Premier League, we'll start with Newcastle at home Saturday morning here in the United States. They're hosting Tottenham. Currently, Newcastle a quarter goal underdog at home with all the juice. Over-unders 3.5. Juiced almost all the way over. All lines I'm quoting courtesy of Bet Online or SportsBetting.ag. If you're not a member of either of them, go take advantage of a great promotion, free money from the casinos listed in the podcast description, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and on YouTube. But as for this matchup, Newcastle quarter goal underdogs at home. Great home team, but I think there's a lot of questions about why they are so good at home. I mean, I guess the answer is they're great at home because they have a great crowd, but they aren't very good. In my opinion, they have real problems defensively. The big question, though, is Tottenham come on the road as a favorite, which is never really a comfortable position for them. I feel like Tottenham, unfortunately, the way they play, they maybe find more goals from it, but I swear, I'm not sure that Ange Ball is really anything better than what they had done previously. So give me Newcastle. I like that quarter of a goal at home, and I'm not really interested. I mean, I've been burned so many Newcastle unders over the years. I guess I've been doing this. I'm not really looking at that. If anything, I like over 3.5, but that's too high for me. And I think as anyone who listens to this podcast more than once, you'll know that I'm underdogs and unders. We'll move next to the big window of games, all starting concurrently. Brentford, a 1.25 goal favorite at home to Sheffield United. Looks like almost all the juice on Brentford at home. Over under is 3, juiced all the way to over. I don't really know what to do with. I mean, I would love to fade Brentford, but there haven't really been many opportunities. They're certainly not graded or rated like a good team in the Premier League. They're fighting relegation. Sheffield United look like the worst team in the Premier League in recent memory. So it's weird to see a really bad team giving a goal in a quarter, but this is certainly a time where if Brentford's going to beat anybody by a lopsided margin, it certainly would be Sheffield United. With that said, I like Sheffield United getting that goal in a quarter. I like under 3. It's just hard to really trust Sheffield United. I'm not really sure what they're playing for. They're trying to win games, I guess. And they know that they can't defend anyway. So do they care? That's the big question. Brentford, I think will play. I mean, they're trying to play the way they had in the past. The manager's still the same. A lot of players are still the same, but they are not having anywhere near the luck results, anything like that. I would like to be against Brentford. I guess an under would technically be against that home team scoring a bunch of goals, especially as a lopsided favorite. But man, there's not a lot for me to love there. Manchester City then hosts Luton Town coming off their Champions League match midweek. Man City, a 2.25 goal favorite with all the juice right now. Over unders 3.75, juice all the way to over. Luton, I mean, this is a gigantic price. They've been very competitive. We're, I think, a 2 goal underdog on the road at Tottenham a couple weeks ago, and I think drew that match. If maybe they lost late, but it was a very easy cover, it seemed. Not going to be the same scenario here, though they did play Manchester City pretty tightly. If anything, I'm interested in Luton Town getting 2.5 goals and I guess under 3.75. But Luton Town are not really a team that's going to try to, I guess, prevent. They're going to try to outscore you, which is a weird change from earlier in the year when they were just literally trying to win games 0-0. I don't really know what to do with this one ultimately, so I'll probably skip it. Move to the next. I'd like to back Luton Town. I just don't think I can do it. I'd like to back probably under, but can't trust them for unders. Nottingham Forest then hosts Wolves. Currently, Nottingham Forest a quarter goal favorite at home with all the juice. Over unders 2.5, juiced almost all the way to over. Wolves, I mean, we'll see what their injury report looks like and who's healthy for this matchup, but they've been so banged up. I don't think you can have any. I mean, it sucks because I really loved to back Wolverhampton. I love Gary O'Neill. I like their manager. He's been a huge moneymaker at Bournemouth last year and at Wolves this year, but they're simply not healthy enough to compete at this point. Took a really tough loss last weekend to West Ham United, but it was, I don't know if I would say it was deserved, but I mean, it was all over the place, but not a great result for me, unfortunately, as an under in that matchup, as they gave up some bad goals. But I don't think Nottingham Forest is that great of an offense. They do play much better at home. They seem to find goals that I don't really think they deserve. For that reason, I'm going to go under 2.5 Wolves on the road at Nottingham Forest. Moving next to Burnley hosting Brighton. Burnley, a half a goal underdog at home with all the juice. Over under 2 3/4, juice almost all the way to over. Brighton, they are puzzling to say the least. Didn't do very well in the Europa League, got knocked out by Roma, but now they have one competition to focus on, and that is the English Premier League. As a road favorite, I don't really love that. They've been really stretched thin considering their resources are limited, and they were playing in multiple competitions, doing very well in Europa League, won their group. Burnley's been playing a lot better lately, but there's still a lot of questions about who they are. Dara O'Shea, I believe, is suspended after his red card. Um, I don't know what the story is with their manager and Vincent Company, if he's on the sideline or not. I guess that's very much less important than the starting center back. But that does, I think, potentially put some concerns on the Burnley side, more so than just not being very good. I like Burnley getting a half of a goal, but I do want to further vet their lineup and what it looks like on Saturday morning here in the United States. And as for the total, I'd like to go under, but I just can't do that with Brighton at this point unless I feel like the opposing team is really going to shut them down defensively. And I just don't really know that Burnley down the starting center back when they're fairly weak at that point. A lot of responsibility probably falling on Esteve or Esteve from a transfer in January from Montpellier. So in the French Ligue. So I'm not really sure what to do there besides maybe lean to Burnley getting that half of a goal. Last but not least, Saturday night matchup in England. We have Bournemouth hosting Manchester United. Currently, Bournemouth a pick'em with all the juice. Over unders 3.25. Juice almost all the way to over. Wow. I mean, Manchester United being on the road, an underdog to Bournemouth is wild. Reminds me of they were a quarter goal favorite to Brentford a couple weeks ago. So this is even more drastic. Not a lot of faith in Manchester United at this point, and I guess that's probably deserved. Every match that they seem to play well in, they literally collapse at the end. So I don't really know what to say about that. The Chelsea was, I mean, nauseating to say the least. And then also, I think Liverpool, you could probably argue the same thing. And it's funny because Manchester United was doing the opposite to teams earlier in the year, and it looks like it's getting dark as I'm recording. So probably be in the dark by the time I send this thing off. But Bournemouth pick them all the juice right now. That's too expensive to me for a Bournemouth side that are not very good. They play a defensive brand, as does Manchester United. For that reason, I'll put Manchester United under 3.25 on my list. It's my best bet there, and wait to see if Manchester United climb that quarter goal underdog. Though I expect money to roll in on the, I guess, most popular club in the world, you could argue. We'll move next to Sunday. West Ham, a quarter goal favorite right now at home to Fulham. All the juice on Fulham. Over under is 2 3/4. Juice all the way to over. West Ham, of course, coming off a trip to Bayer Leverkusen midweek in Europa League. That's probably their more important of competitions, though they're certainly trying to climb the table and find their way into Champions League position in that way rather than having to win entire competition. Fulham had a better performance, I think, after really looking ugly for the two matches back to back last previous weekend and midweek leading into a lot of matches, fixture overload, certainly in England right now. But I don't know really what to do with Fulham. I don't want to back them as underdog on the road. I don't trust them. I trust West Ham to score goals, actually. Would expect that Fulham's going to try to do their best to try to potentially keep this as low scoring as possible going on the road. But they have kind of felt like they've been on the beach for a while. With that said, I'll put Fulham under 2 3/4 because we might get a 3 on my list, but it's hanging by a thread. Liverpool, a 2 goal favorite to Crystal Palace with almost all the juice on Crystal Palace on the road. Over unders 3.5, juice all the way to under. This is what Liverpool's fighting for. They rotated a fair amount for their Europa League match with Atalanta midweek. I think Crystal Palace getting 2 goals is gigantic. I love Oliver Glasner, former manager of Eintracht Frankfurt in the German Bundesliga. I just it's hard to trust them to score goals though, and even as a 2 goal underdog, that's gigantic. And they've done well in this type of situation. I feel like at Man City they've had good success. But man, going to Anfield, getting 2 goals is a lot. I mean, Atalanta were getting 1.5 earlier this week as well, from a rotated Liverpool side. So maybe it's not even that much. But with that full 2, I'll put that there +2, and I like under 3.5 as it correlates. It looks like last match on Sunday, Arsenal hosts Aston Villa. Currently, Arsenal 1 3/4 goal favorite. All the juice in Aston Villa on the road. Over under is 3 1/4, juiced very heavily all the way to under. So we might see this fall to 3. Now, this big question for Arsenal coming off Champions League. How do they balance that? Aston Villa coming off Europa League, so or Conference League, they're in a worse situation in terms of rest, playing on Thursday. So that's probably why this number's as large as it is. Aston Villa getting Ollie Watkins back on Thursday was surprising to me, but I guess they really wanted to go for that competition. Who knows what they're going for, considering Champions League seemed to be more important, but maybe that was their attempt to try to get them in a more, I guess, fluid type of situation, get them in form for that Champions League run in the Premier League, maybe. Regardless, is a gigantic price. Aston Villa beat Arsenal at home way back when, and there's a lot more pressure on the title race for Arsenal right now. So I'm interested in Villa right now, 1 3/4, and I like under 3 1/4 as well. Last one, it looks like on Monday we have Chelsea, a 3/4 goal favorite at home with almost all the juice to Everton. Over under is 3, just all the way to over. Everton is very, I mean, they're fighting relegation. Chelsea are just, I feel like they are like a kind of like my head is doing, just switching both ways as much as possible. I don't know what to say about them at this point, but I like to bet against them. So I like Everton getting that 3/4 of a goal, and I like under 3 as well in that last matchup on Monday, April 15th, tax day here in the United States, which I need to remind myself, don't forget about. Just kidding. How could you forget when you have to pay the tax man all your money at the end of the year? It's great. My favorite thing. For my ultimate best bet, I gotta make one selection from the English Premier League. I'm gonna go with that Wolverhampton Wanderers under 2.5 goals. I think that's my favorite one. Don't think there's gonna be a lot of goals there. I think that's probably the most likely to hit. Move next to Spanish La Liga, which had last weekend off as the Copa del Rey was happening, and it's probably good for the I guess Real Madrid side and Barcelona playing in Champions League as well. We'll start in the early one, and I guess Atletico Madrid too. We'll start on Saturday morning, the earliest matchup. Atletico Madrid, a 0.5 goal favorite to Girona. Over under here is 3, just all the way under. So Atleti, they're I mean, it's a pretty short price. Girona coming in, pretty good timing for Girona to go to the Wanda Metropolitano, coming off a kind of surprising situation of Atletico Madrid even making Champions League when they were in need of a late goal to win their match against Inter Milan, and then surviving penalties. But Girona have been playing really poorly. They've been really bad on the road as well. This is pretty much playing Atleti preparing for Champions League next midweek, as opposed to Girona, I guess, who don't have a lot to play for. So I like that 0.5 goal just by default. I like under 3 as well. Just don't really know what to expect from Atletico Madrid, and I feel like I need to see this lineup tomorrow morning. Rayo Vallecano then hosts Getafe. Currently, Rayo a 1/4 goal favorite. More juice on Getafe slightly on the road. At that quarter, over under is 2, juice all the way to under. Where do goals come from this matchup? Rayo can't score. Change their manager to get a very defensive type of style in there, counterattacking, and Getafe just want to beat you up. Getafe certainly played a lot more aggressively offensively, but I think I'm mostly interested in just fading Rayo Vallecano by taking that 1/4 goal on Getafe and also the under 2. Move next to Mallorca hosting Real Madrid. Currently, Mallorca a 3/4 goal underdog at home. More juice on the home team slightly. Over under is 2 1/4, juice all the way to over. That's a gigantic number for a Mallorca match. They play really well at home, and they play really low scoring matches. So I'm interested in the Mallorca side. I'd love to see a +1. We'll see if that gets there. Don't have that yet, but it's certainly something of interest. And I guess I like under 2 1/4 because it correlates. Last but not least, on Saturday, Cadiz hosting Barcelona. Currently, Cadiz a half a goal underdog at home. More juice on Barcelona on the road. Over under is 2.5. Juice almost all the way to under. So Cadiz, another really bad road team that's fighting relegation, can't really score goals, and they get Barcelona coming off Champions League, which is a great spot, perfect scenario for Cadiz to try to stay in the league unexpectedly for another straight year. I think there's almost expectations for them to do so, but every year they weren't. Uh, Cadiz, I think half a goal is probably low, probably too low for me. But I mean, we're seeing these Champions League numbers are basically all super low. So I don't really know what to say about that one. Total of 2.5. I like under there too. Moving to Sunday, Las Palmas hosts Sevilla. Currently, Las Palmas, I pick them. More juice on the home team slightly. Over unders 2.25. Juice more to the over. Sevilla really haven't done much offensively a lot this season. They're I think probably working their way to safety, but maybe not there yet, to say the least. Las Palmas, they've been on a downward spiral as well. So two teams that really haven't been that impressive. But pick them, not much to do there. I think I probably like the home team more, but we'll see what happens with this number. I think under 2.25 is my biggest interest in Las Palmas hosting Sevilla. Granada then hosts Alaves. Currently, Granada a quarter goal underdog at home with all the juice. Over unders 2.25, juice all the way to under, and might fall to 2. Not sure if it's worth grabbing the under 2.25 just so you can win half your bet on 2, or just play that under 2 and hope for a goalless match because it might get it, or maybe a 1-0. Alaves, they deserved a lot better. Their play deserves it, but they just really struggle to score goals or take advantage of their situations and usually fall apart once at least. Granada on the other side, they've been really struggling to win anything, so I don't really trust them at all. I think I don't know that I want to. I mean, I guess I'm interested in Granada getting that quarter of a goal at home because it's an opportunity to fade Alaves, who just have not been delivering, and I lean under 2.25 there as well. Athletic Club Bilbao then hosts Villarreal. Currently, Athletic Club a 3/4 goal favorite. A little more juice on Villarreal on the road. Over just 2.75 juice all the way to over, or not all the way over, more to over. Athletic Club, they are a really good home team because they have a great crowd, but then they actually aren't as good home team as you'd expect from that crowd. So I'm interested in Villarreal. I'd love to see them get a full goal of insurance. I don't think it's going to happen. Was really disappointed in how they collapsed against against Atletico Madrid in their Monday night match before the off week that had Copa del Rey in it. But the chance Villarreal had been playing better. I really liked how they were going till a late goal. They surrendered, really killed everything. I think side and total for me in that matchup. And I like under 2.75. Maybe we get a 3 here. I think Athletic Club are just not the same type of squad right now, and ultimately I think that's kind of where I'm looking to be is being against Athletic Club at home. They've been great this year. We'll see about the health of the Williams brothers, and of course coming off Copa del Rey, while Villarreal had basically 2 weeks to wait and rest up. Real Sociedad then hosts Almeria the night match on Sunday. Real Sociedad a 1.5 goal favorite. All the juice almost on Almeria on the road. Over unders 2.75. She's very heavily to under. And this feels like a huge gap between these two teams, but Real Sociedad have not scored enough goals to deserve this type of price, even against the bottom side. And I think the longest winless streak for any La Liga side in all of La Liga history. But I mean, that 1.5 is too big, and 2.75 for the total is gigantic for Real Sociedad. I think I'm more interested in under there, but I like the underdog too. And moving to Monday, we have Osasuna hosting Valencia. Currently, Osasuna a quarter goal favorite at home with more juice. Over under is 2. Juice more to the under. I think this is going to be another one of those matches. I feel like this entire league, there's so few goals scored, very different than the Premier League. And I guess what happens in stoppage time across most of the top 5 European soccer leagues. But Spain's been good about not scoring a lot of goals, so I'm staying with unders here. I think Valencia's they're interesting at quarter of a goal. Osasuna are very good at home, though I don't really trust them to score goals ever. They just seem to find them some way, somehow. Maybe that's something I should credit them for, and maybe work into my analysis a little bit more. But I like Valencia getting that quarter of a goal, and I like under 2 as well on Monday. And for my best bet in Spain before I move to Serie A in Italy, I'm going to go with that Almeria under 2.75 goals, because I don't believe in Real Sociedad's offense. I've been all over them this season, backed them a lot, went to their stadium. It was my first European soccer match ever, so maybe there's a little romanticism to them, to it all. But man, just not great. Move now to Italy. We'll start with Lecce hosting Empoli. Two teams that are near the bottom. Empoli playing a lot better and trying to find their way. There's a big logjam at the bottom of Serie A. Will be very interesting down this stretch. But Lecce, quarter goal favorite with more juice, slightly at home. Over under is 2.25. Juice all the way to under. Don't see a lot of goals happening in this one. Lecce have not been very good. Brought in Luca Gotti, very conservative manager. Empoli on the other side are playing really well, but have a conservative firefighting type of relegation saver in managing them as well. So don't see a lot of goals here. Like Empoli getting a quarter of a goal on the road and like under 2.25, probably even more, though it's very juiced at the moment. Next, we'll go to Torino hosting Juventus. Currently, Torino, a quarter goal underdog at home. Almost more juice on Juve on the road. Over under is 2. Juice to the under. This is a big derby in Turin or Torino. Torino, to me, have not really. I think there was something that came out last year where Juve don't even see Torino as a rival anymore because they just have not really been around and certainly haven't looked great. And I don't really know that that's changed so much. And there's all these rumors about Juve is taking Buongiorno, their center back, to play. So like, and I think Federico Gatti is like a big fan, comes from a Torino family and plays for Juventus. So a lot of problems there. I don't know that I'm not impressed by Juventus at all this season. I think I'm definitely interested in under, and I guess I like the home dog as well. Just not really a believer in Juve's offense. Love that they try to kill games 1-0. That would split your underdog and under bet if it does end 1-0. Bologna then hosts Monza the nightcap on Saturday. Bologna a 1-goal favorite at home. More juice on Monza on the road. Over unders 2.5. Juice all the way to under. So Bologna, they've like climbed up this table and really are stealing a Champions League position right now, which is a big deal in Serie A. And I think it's really upsetting the apple cart, as they would say in Serie A and in Italy, in Italia. They haven't scored a ton of goals, but they're really good at preventing goals. Monza were in great position. We're killing Napoli for, I don't know, a half or 47 minutes or something like that. And then the floodgates open. Napoli put like 3 of the most incredible goals together in the second half. Bologna got one back, but it wasn't enough. Ended up losing 4-2. Monza, that was, excuse me. Just don't really see a lot of goals. Bologna coming off a goalless draw themselves at Frosinone, which I don't think anyone expected Frosinone to keep a clean sheet ever. But that shows, I think, the power of the Bologna defense. I think Monza, they've played so much better. I think their manager's definitely heading out somewhere else because he's done so well in that team after they got picked apart this past offseason in the summer and still was essentially ahead of Napoli when they were up 1-0 in the standings at one point. I don't know that I want Monza +1, though I do like that. I mean, I do like the full goal of insurance. I'll put +1 down. I like under 2.5 more in that one for sure. Napoli then hosts Frosinone. Currently, Napoli a 1.5 goal favorite at home. More juice than Frosinone on the road. Over under is 3. Juice all the way to over. Napoli, team I want to be against. I don't know if Frosinone are really that side that I want to actually make that happen, though. Frosinone, they've been good defensively of late. They had a good start to the season. We're really competitive. Then we're awful defensively for a long time. And I don't really know what changed. Maybe dedication, paying attention to film study. I'm not really sure what the what the explanation would be in Italian soccer, but maybe seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, potentially to stay up or something like that. But Napoli, just to me, are not that talented. They have a ton of talent, but they haven't put it together like they did last season. Manager change and multiple managers maybe is a good reason to explain that. I think they really want Spalletti to come back, but we'll see if that ever happens. I guess it's a gigantic price though, so I'm interested in Frosinone again. That 1.5. I like under 3. I think even more, and it looks like it might even get to 3.25, which would be an ultimate hold your nose in the Frosinone defense. But I think Napoli will do a pretty good job of not giving many opportunities to Frosinone. Napoli take a ton of shots, not always high XG, and I think that might help to keep this one under. Sassuolo then hosts AC Milan. Currently, Sassuolo 3/4 goal underdog at home with all the juice. Over under is 2.75. Juice all the way to over. Milan have scored a ton of goals this year. They're somehow a runaway second place in Serie A despite not playing very well, but did have to face Roma in Europa League on Thursday. So there's a good chance that there's a little bit of focus issues or focus creep towards next week. I think Sassuolo are in big trouble. I mean, incredible they couldn't hold on to their lead against Salernitana last week on Friday. Brutal for my under as well, but It's one of those things where if they're ahead, they're in really great position to cover the spread, of course, late. I think I'm interested in three quarters and interested in the under 2 and 3 quarters as well. I don't know what Milan's really playing for, as they're I mean, they're not catching Inter for the title, and they're pretty much locked in second place, which I think is a great position for a team that's fighting relegation to get a result. Udinese then hosts Roma. Currently, Udinese a quarter goal underdog at home with more juice. Over unders 2 1/4, juice all the way to over. Roma's been scoring goals, I guess, under their newest of managers, but it's reverted back to the mean lately. And I think it against an Udinese side that's kind of wallowing a little bit above the relegation zone, but I don't know really what they're playing for. Roma certainly focused on Milan, so I think Udinese is of interest to me. Getting that quarter of a goal, I'm setting myself up for a lot of fades against the best teams in Europe because they're potentially focused elsewhere. So under 2 1/4, I like there as well. Last but not least, on Sunday, Inter Milan hosting Cagliari. Currently, Inter a 2 goal favorite as I wear their kit. Not sure which side the logo's on, but anyway, microphone's in the way, hiding it. My bad. Over under here is 3 1/4, juice all the way to over. Cagliari are great at scoring late goals. I don't trust them to score many. I don't trust them to score many at all, or maybe even one against Inter. But Inter are so good, have nothing to play for except for this league at this point, out of Coppa Italia, out of the Champions League. And I think they're going to really just dominate teams the rest of the way because they are the best in Italy, one of the best in Europe that still should be in Champions League. Moving to Monday, we have two matches. Fiorentina hosting Genoa. Currently, Fiorentina a half a goal favorite at home with juice split both ways. Rare for BetOnline to deal that so far. First one, I think. Over unders 2 1/4, juice all the way to over. Genoa's been playing really well this season. Deserves to stay in the league. We'll see if they can hold on to their manager, attacker Goodmanson, and a bunch of others as well. They already sold Dragoshin middle of the season, I think, if I remember that correctly. Fiorentina, they are going to try to possess the ball. They have Europa League on their mind. We'll see how that all goes. I think Genoa is another one of those teams, but they're actually good. So I feel like getting a half of goals of interest. I like under 2 1/4 because Genoa seems to me like the offensive side in this matchup, and they're the underdog. Last but not least, Atalanta hosts Verona. Currently, Atalanta a 1 1/4 goal favorite. All the juice on Verona on the road. Over under 2 3/4. Juice more to the under. Verona have been really good, very competitive. They've been, I think, most interesting to me in a lot of Europe. Or in Italy specifically, after they literally gave away anyone that wasn't nailed down in the transfer window because they needed to find some funds. I think I guess my Excel's not working. Hopefully, I'm still connected to the internet. Looks like we're recording on Zoom. StreamYard doesn't seem to be a problem. If you hear anything or you see anything, say something. Or if it's not working, please holler. Well, I guess. Oh, don't tell me I didn't get all these things saved. Oh, no. Just a quick pause while I try to make sure my technology is working. Reload, baby. Come on. I mean, what could have possibly happened? Did I run out of space? I hope not. Because it's weird that I'd be connected on StreamYard, but I still see a bunch of people watching lives. Thank you all for sticking around. I'd love to move on, but I don't really know what to do here. Well, I guess I'll just keep going. Last but not least was Atalanta and Verona. So Verona's been really good, competitive. Atalanta have distractions, of course, with Liverpool coming into town. So I mean that definitely interests me in the under and also the underdog, really. So let's get this into another Excel and then add Verona 1 1/4 and under 2 3/4. If that's the line that I think I just had. Yes, it is. And I guess we'll see what happens here. Just make sure that I'm still recording. It looks like I am. I don't know what the hell is going on. Maybe it's Google having a Google Sheets. Please get your ish together. That'd be really nice. We'll move next to, I guess I got to make it ultimate best bet pick as well from this one. So from the Italian Serie A, I mean, it's really tempting because there's so many good spots to go against teams that are focused on other competitions. I don't know if I really want Genoa to be that pick because I'm a little bit nervous about them being only a half a goal underdog. I mean, I guess that's not the worst thing. It's simply a result on the road. Let's go with I'm gonna do Monza under 2.5 goals. I just feel like Bologna, they're so strong defensively. That's what they're best at. I don't think that's changing anytime soon. And I think that's probably the one. I mean, it's not sexy. I'm sorry, I'm just giving out unders left and right, but I feel like that's the best way to make some money in this game that we call life or soccer betting or whatever we're doing. So we'll move now to the German Bundesliga. And I guess I'll just give up on my spreadsheets ever cooperating. But we'll start in Germany with Bayern München, a 2-goal favorite to FC Köln. Over under here is 3.5, juiced all the way to over. More juice on Bayern at home. Now, this is an interesting situation. Bayern have Champions League. The Bundesliga is gone for the first time in 11 seasons. So they should be very focused on next week, not on this game. So that's another great situation for an underdog. God, I'm gonna have a million bets. I think 2 weekends ago, I basically won them all. Last weekend, I got crushed, and the bad beats are honestly making me want to jump out of a window at this point. But I'll be with you. Don't worry, sticking with you, keeping these podcasts going as long as I possibly can until they, I guess, shut off my internet. Don't worry, I didn't run out of money for electricity. It just simply got dark while I was recording this. But anyway, Colin, a 2-goal underdog. I mean, had a miraculous, this is one of those uh ridiculous stoppage time losers. I think 91st minute Bochum 1-0 lead. I had a quarter of a goal on Bochum underdog and also under 2 3/4. And Cologne scores two-headed goals that they haven't shown any ability to score in months. But it was a big win for them. And there is I've seen it with Cologne before, where Stuttgart really in the past, where teams will score. I think it was against Cologne actually in the last week. You'll find some goals for teams that have really been struggling because they are fighting relegation and they just are fighting harder at the end. And that's something to pay attention to. And I think that plays really well into betting Cologne here. They've been a great under team. Certainly Bayern are not a great under team at all. But under Thomas Tuchel, and maybe they're practicing for Arsenal or something like that. I think there's some good ways to get this to go under. And really, that's Cologne playing a great defensive game on the road. If it goes over, that unfortunately that +2 is also in danger. But I like both of them at the moment. RB Leipzig hosts VfL Wolfsburg. Currently, Leipzig a 1.5-goal favorite. More juice on Wolfsburg on the road. Surprisingly, over under is 3.25. Juice a little bit more to over. Leipzig, I mean, they are starting to turn it on. Had some big wins on the road where they've been really struggling for years now. And that was pretty big, pretty important, but we'll see if they can keep that going. I think from a Wolfsburg perspective, I just have no interest in backing them at this point. It's hard to say that, but ultimately that's just where we're at. And I think my spreadsheet is back. I think that might have been a Google problem. Google, can't believe you would have such a problem. Oh my gosh. But now I'll transfer everything back over here, and then here we are. Okay, so back to our normally scheduled meetings. I don't really have any interest in Wolfsburg. 1.5-goal underdog on the road. I guess if anything, I like under 3.25 because it's bigger than 3, and that's usually a telltale sign that I want to play under. Though they are scary to back anything because that's pretty much the market saying they're going to be goals. Mainz 05 then holds TSG Hoffenheim. Currently, Mainz a 0.5-goal favorite at home. Almost all the juice on Hoffenheim on the road. Over under is 3, just a little bit more to over. I was hoping to get Mainz as an underdog, but then I realized that would never happen. Hoffenheim have been good away from home, but they haven't deserved it. They got a big win over Augsburg last weekend. Looked a lot more lopsided than it was. One just out of position player that didn't really hustle back for Augsburg, and I imagine that would probably didn't sit well in film study, film review, whatever they call it in Deutschland. And Mainz, they got a huge win, lopsided win over Darmstadt. Got a lead and then got 2 amazing goals with 1 goal before those 2. That was basically just another awful defensive back pass by a really bad. It's amazing to me that Darmstadt still does this at this point when they Augsburg basically got 6 of them, I think, in a first half, but or 5 or something like that. Anyway, I don't really like Hoffenheim. As I mean, it's nice to see them on the road as an underdog. So I guess I'm interested in that 0.5 goal because all they're asking for is a result, and the result probably benefits Mainz. I think I like under 3 as well because Mainz are going to play a really tough game. They've been scoring better. I don't really think their managers change much. I think it's just one thing, those things they fight hard, and eventually it's going to work out. But they're on a streak. They're playing better. I just don't think that Mainz are going to be able to control this game. Hoffenheim are definitely the better side, way up the table. So seeing them a half a goal underdog does feel like a little bit of value play. Borussia Mönchengladbach then hosts Borussia Dortmund. Currently Gladbach a half a goal underdog at home with almost all the juice. Over unders 3.5. She's all the way to under. Give me Gladbach and give me the under 3.5. This is a really tough situation for Borussia Dortmund. They have Atleti coming in midweek, coming off multiple losses back to back, mentioned by Julian Weigel in the post game interview. Gladbach got their first win on the road in, I think, 10 or 11 matches. So things are turning. Gladbach are much better at home. And I think this is going to be a very weak output from Borussia Dortmund, who have just not been good in the Bundesliga at all this season. VfL Bochum then host FC Heidenheim. Currently Bochum a quarter goal favorite with all the juice. Over unders 2.75 with almost all the juice. Bochum are better home team, but they haven't been playing well for a long time. I'm sure that must have been a sour taste after losing 2 goals, 90+1, 90+2, I think it was, back to back, to lose an important match, and it really throws them in the relegation fight. Heidenheim, they're pretty much mid-table and safe, but I think they respect their manager too much to not put out a good effort. Give me that quarter of a goal, and I like under 2.75. Would love to get 3 though. Probably be holding out for that. VfB Stuttgart then hosts Eintracht Frankfurt in the Topspiel Saturday night in Germany. Looks like Eintracht Frankfurt a 1.25 goal underdog on the road with all the juice. Over under is 3, juice all the way to over. Big price for Eintracht Frankfurt, honestly. Not sure that I want to get in the way of VfB Stuttgart at this point. But anything over 1, I think, does interest me here because I think Eintracht Frankfurt are capable. Total is 3. I guess I'll put it on the list, but that's not something I'm really in love with at the moment. SV Darmstadt, the in-app backpassers, they're hosting Sports Club Freiburg, team I follow closest in all of European soccer. Looks like Darmstadt a half a goal underdog, more juice on Freiburg on the road. Over under is 3, juice all the way to under. This might be getting too dark, so give me 1 second. I'm gonna turn on this light. There it is. There it is. And the Lord said, anyway, here we are. Yeah, I guess at this point, okay, the lights are on and the TVs are going stale now. But it's just Darmstadt, I don't know if I've had enough of them. You'd think that they would learn from embarrassing themselves over and over again. And I guess back passes, it happens from time to time, but I've never seen it with a club. And you'd think it'd be from a very defensive side that knows they can't give away goals, that they would be a lot more considerate about that. Sport Club Freiburg, on the other hand, got blasted by Leipzig, really struggled with counterattacking defense, apparently. Darmstadt aren't really a team to do that. So they do have some speed and some pace with Tim Skalka. Freiburg as a road favorite doesn't really gel here, but I'm not back in Darmstadt. I don't know. I've done it before and it worked. It's just so hard to do. I think I like under 3, if anything, in this early match on Sunday morning here in the United States. Bayer Leverkusen then can clinch the Bundesliga for the first time, I think, in their history. They host Werder Bremen, a 2-goal favorite are Leverkusen. Over under is 3.25, juice more to over, and there's a ton of juice on the Werder Bremen getting 2. This is a perfect opportunity, I think, for Leverkusen to win 1-0. I really like the idea of Werder Bremen getting 2 goals plus under 3.25. We'll see what their health and all that sort of stuff looks like, because there's a good chance that maybe they're not healthy, and that's what this line is suggesting. But man, this is a big, big price. Werder Bremen, I think, are pretty capable and have been very competitive this year. So I'll actually make that my best bet, Werder Bremen. And I think I'll go under 3.25 because that gives me more room to cover in case Leverkusen somehow win 3-0. Then you're still winning your under bet and losing the side. Last but not least, we'll go to French Ligue 1. There are not as many matches this week. I think they're giving all the continental sides the weekend off to prepare for next week, which sounds genius and seems like a tactic that the smaller leagues do across the world, like the Czechias and the Portugal and all those type of leagues. It seems kind of smart, especially now that Liga has less matches with 2 less teams. But we'll start on Saturday with Racing Club de Strasbourg. They are hosting Stade de Reims. Currently, Strasbourg a pick'em with all the juice. Over unders 2.5, juice all the way to under. I don't know why is Strasbourg favored. They've been so bad. They've been bad all year. They've been bad last year. 2 years ago, they were on the brink of making Europa League or getting into Europe in some Conference League form or fashion. They've been really bad. I don't really want anything to do with them. So I'll be waiting to see if Stade de Reims climb to quarter underdog, and we can drink some champagne and bet the Champagne region squad. I guess I lean under 2.5 there as well. Don't see Strasbourg scoring much, so sort of home favorite. Any sort of favorite, if I don't think they're going to score, I like under. Stade de Rennes then host Toulouse Football Club. Currently ran a half a goal favorite at home with all the juice. Over under is 2.5. Juice more, almost all the way to over. Toulouse have been really competitive, but they have a really tough match here going on the road to Rennes. I feel like the line is shorter than I expected. Juice certainly suggests it might hit 3/4 before kickoff, but I like under 2.5. I think is my biggest interest here. I'm just not, I haven't had a great run of success fading Rennes. I'll put it that way, especially Rennes at home. But I love what I've seen from Toulouse in 2024. Felt like they deserved to get through Benfica, didn't unfortunately, but I think they are talented, and really they find goals, and I don't know that they're always deserved, but they seem to always find them, and it's hard to just dismiss that at this point in the season. Le Havre then hosts Football Club Nantes. Currently Le Havre, I pick them with all the juice at home. Over under is 2, juice all the way to over. This might close with the juice flipping completely the other way to under. I don't know who's scoring this matchup. Le Havre have been a really great under team. Their form has completely dipped / fallen off, cratered, fallen off a cliff, whatever you want to call it. I'm waiting for Nantes at Pick'em, but we'll see if that ends up getting there. Don't have that yet. So I will just put simply under 2 on my list. Moving next to Clermont Foot, hosting Montpellier. Currently Clermont, quarter goal underdog at home. All the juice on Montpellier on the road. Over under 2 3/4. Juice almost all the way to under. Clermont, I mean, with an incredible draw on the road at PSG, but they didn't start Mbappe. They had Champions League on the mind, all those sort of things that adds to 1 + 1 is 4. But it worked out. Now they get to host Montpellier. They're trying to climb out of the bottom and try to find their way into that relegation playoff spot in 16th instead of the 18th position they're currently in. Not holding on to the win last week was brutal. But Montpellier, I mean, they've been playing better. It makes sense they're favorite on the road. Clermont are a disaster, but I feel like total 2 3/4. Yes, Montpellier score a lot of goals or concede a lot of goals, but Clermont not the team to do that. I mean, I've lost a bunch of bets on Clermont penalty kicks, but that's just not it's not a sustainable way to hit over. So I'll forever be looking to bet under on Clermont matches, especially under 2 3/4. And last but not least, Lyon. They are hosting Stade Brestois. Currently Lyon, a quarter goal favorite right now. More juice on, slightly more on Brest on the road. Over unders 2 1/4. Juice all the way to over. Brest are a great defense. They had a huge shootout of a match with Metz last weekend. Fell behind 1-0, scored 4 in a row, and then ended up winning 4-3. I think Brest are the side I want here. I love their defense. They've really been a team I've bet year over year. It's weird to see them as favorites this year, and so I think I've not really had the opportunity so much. But I also like under 2 1/4 because they're going to go to Lyon and try to make this a Brest type of game, a Stade Brestois match, which is going to be low scoring, and it's going to be physical, and it's going to say, Lyon, you got to have to bring it and score on us when your crowd's going to get really disappointed in the first 15 minutes, it seems. So give me Stade Brestois at quarter of a goal, and I like under 2 1/4 as well. My best bet in France for this week, I'm going to go with that Nantes under 2 goals. I just don't know where goals are coming from. So there's a lot of unders in those leans. Thank you for tuning in and sticking with me for the 42.5 minutes, despite some technology issues, which hopefully will not be an issue when we actually record this, because I know a lot of people who will watch on Spotify, on YouTube, and on Apple Podcasts. If you're on any of those places, please leave a 5-star review. Also, follow the links in the podcast description for free money from BetOnline, SportsBetting.ag. SportsBetting.ag will give you $500 for a $500 deposit twice. So you can lose all that money and then do it however you wanted to do, but you can basically deposit 1,000 and get $1,000 added. So 1,000 to play with 2,000. That's not something you'll see in most places. I'll put it that way. Worth it. Go follow that link. If you're not a member of my Patreon, check it out. Patreon.com/real_G Warner. Best spot to get all my baseball plays all in one place. And now that college basketball is over, that's where the focus is changing. Had a good year, won 18.3 units last year at pregame. Going to try to outdo that this year. Last year was an awesome year. Finished college basketball in the positive, but not as high as I wanted to be. Really tough March was the reason why that didn't work out. But it's going to be a great summer. The Euro coming up soccer wise as well. So if you're not already subscribed to this platform, please do it. Betting the Pitch on Spotify, at real_G Warner on YouTube. also on Instagram as well. And that's where this reel will go. Which, speaking of, I need to get to that ultimate best bet so I can get the heck out of here and start watching baseball because it's going to be a long night if I don't start anytime soon. But yeah, still will be with pregame, of course. Podcast coming out. Next one will be Sunday night with Munaf Manji. Plus, we got the Betting the Pitch actual baseball edition on the Betting the Pitch podcast network with that A Brooks bets. We'll be doing a less drunk episode on Tuesday this week. Hopefully, because he won't be in town. Well, it'd be nice if he was in town, but I don't think we're going to be able to go to a game if he's in Syracuse still. Other than that, I think we're still waiting for one episode with that Big East Bend to kind of close off. Maybe potentially look at some futures for next season's college basketball, though we have no idea what rosters will look like at this point. Barely even know who Kentucky head coach will be. So stay tuned for all of that. And of course, thank you for all the support. Love you all, and hopefully, and for any comments, questions, please leave a 5-star review wherever you can, and say something in there. If you write something, I'll have it be read by one of my co-hosts, or even I'll read if it's relevant to soccer because I don't have one of those co-hosts here just yet. But it's time for the ultimate best bets. So let's get into it. This is the real_G Warner on Instagram, Patreon, and on Twitter, plus YouTube. This is the ultimate best bet for the Betting the Pitch Podcast Network soccer episode, April 12th recording. Go through the top 5 European soccer leagues, find one best bet from each league, and then we'll make one to, I guess, live or die on, and make the video make all its sense on Reels and on YouTube Shorts. From England, I like Wolves, the Wolverhampton. There's so many Wolves. Sorry, Wolverhampton under 2.5 goals. In La Liga in Spain, I like Almeria under 2.75. In Ligue 1 in France, I like Football Club Nantes under 2 goals. In the Bundesliga in Germany, I like Werder Bremen under 3.25 goals. In Serie A in Italy, I like Monza under 2.5. So big under slate. If you want more unders of just baseball bets, underdogs, go to patreon.com/real_G Warner. All my plays, leans, write-ups, everything. For my best bet, ultimate best bet on this show, I'm going to go that Werder Bremen under 3.25 goals. I think Leverkusen are celebrating their German Bundesliga title, their first one, but it's a low-scoring match. And that'll do it for this episode. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you all very soon. Feel free to slide some DMs if you've got any thoughts, questions, concerns, anything. If not, I'll talk to you all very, very soon. If I could actually do this right. Because I'm a pro. See you soon.